Video games have a magical ability. They can transport us through a kaleidoscope of emotions, from pure joy to heart-wrenching sadness, and everything in between. For me, growing up was defined by sitting next to my older brother and watching him lose himself to timeless classics like Metal Gear Solid, Resident Evil,
Wow, what a mansion!
and Final Fantasy VII. Those moments didn't just entertain me though, they shaped my very identity, instilling in me a lifelong love affair with gaming. So why am I reminiscing right now in this video? Well, recently I embarked on a journey that reignited that childhood passion, and that journey was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And let me tell you, when I reached the end, it was like reliving a roller coaster of emotions. Joy, sorrow, shock, a profound sense of being alive, and a flood of nostalgia that whisked me back to simpler times. In a world where few games dare to thread the path of emotional resonance, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth not only walks it, but dances upon it with grace and finesse. It's a rare gem that not only captures these elusive feelings, but amplifies them, crafting an experience that transcends mere gaming. So, without further ado, here's my review of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So, for those who are unfamiliar with FF7, or Final Fantasy VII, I'm going to be calling it FF7 and Final Fantasy VII throughout the video, so just bear with me. For this section though, I want to keep it relatively brief and spoiler-free since the story will kind of take forever to discuss, and honestly would like to save for a future video. In Final Fantasy VII, we follow the journey of Cloud Strife, a mercenary hired by eco-terrorist group Avalanche, led by Barrett Wallace. What's their mission? Taking on the oppressive Shinra Electric Power Company, which drains the planet's lifeblood, Mako, for profit. Sound familiar? Initially driven by personal gain and a promise to his childhood friend Tifa Lockhart, Cloud's path evolves as he confronts his past and allies with a diverse cast of characters. Together, they fight against Shinra and main antagonist of this entire story and formidable adversary, Sephiroth, in a battle to save the planet. Now, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth serves as a sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake, reimagining the plot, world, and characters of the original Final Fantasy VII. The reimagined stories are mostly intact, with about 90% faithful to the original game and about 10% crazy. The reimagined story introduces us to a host of amazing characters. Barrett Wallace stands out as a brazen but empathetic leader, while Tifa Lockhart, Cloud's compassionate childhood friend, excels both as a bartender and a formidable fighter. The gang is further enriched by Aerith Gainsborough, a flower merchant and last of the ancient Citra. Red 13, an intelligent wolf-like creature with a... what is he, a lion or a cat? We'll just say wolf-like creature with a tragic past. And Yuffie, a skilled materia thief, and ninja from Wutai, driven by her desire to topple Shinra. Supporting characters play significant roles throughout the story as well, like Zack Fair, Aerith's ex-boyfriend, and wielder of the iconic Buster Sword, Kate Sith, a robotic cat controlled by Shinra's Reeve, Vincent Valentine, a gunslinging badass and former Turk with a dark past, and finally Sid Highwind, a grizzled pilot turned rocket scientist who is content on achieving spaceflight. Essentially, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a tale of trust, mystery, camaraderie, and major twists and turns. The game boasts an open world design, a stark departure from the linear progression of FF7 Remake, and I gotta tell you guys, stepping out of Calm and into the Greenlands for the first time, I was instantly transported back to my childhood. The overall richness and authenticity of the game were staggering, immersing me in its world from pretty much the get-go. One of the standout features of Rebirth is its sheer breadth of content. I mean, guys, there's like an overwhelming abundance of activities to dive into. Much like Remake, Rebirth delves deeper into the stories of the characters across various cities and locales, while also expanding on the narratives of our beloved original characters. Moreover, it offers a seemingly endless array of minigames to explore, and I mean, there are a bunch of minigames. But it's worth mentioning that this wealth of content can be a double-edged sword. At times I found myself overwhelmed by the sheer volume of things to do, It's not the game's fault per se. I simply struggle with dedicating countless hours to a single player experience. It's worth noting that all this additional content is entirely optional, allowing players to focus solely on the main story if they wish. Yet the allure of the side quests is undeniable. Their depth and quality make them difficult to resist, leading to a pervasive fear of missing out throughout my playthrough. Balancing the desire to experience everything with an urge to progress the main storyline definitely proved to be a constant struggle, to say the least. The gameplay experience in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth was truly a highlight for me, delivering on all fronts. But before delving deeper into this aspect, let's touch on the game's open world nature. Like any open world title, Rebirth grants players the freedom to traverse its vast landscapes on foot, an experience that, when compared to the original FF7, feels nothing short of surreal. As a longtime fan of Final Fantasy VII, each journey to a new location left me spellbound by the sheer immersion of the fully realized environments. Like, it was awe-inspiring to witness familiar locales transformed into breathtaking modernized settings. The attention to detail extended beyond just the landscapes. I'm talking characters, music, and every aspect of this game felt meticulously crafted and brought to life. Whether it was exploring iconic landmarks or encountering beloved characters, side characters, every moment in Rebirth felt like a journey through a living, breathing world. In navigating the expansive world of Rebirth, players have a variety of transportation options at their disposal, from the iconic chocobos for swift travels to cars, boats, and even aircraft to some degree. Building upon the hybrid gameplay introduced in Remake, Rebirth seamlessly blends action-focused melee combat with the ATB system, which was introduced in Remake. Essentially, players can control a party of characters and freely switch between them during combat. In combat, characters utilize both physical attacks and magic, with the ability to access items for offensive, defensive, and restorative purposes from a menu while the action unfolds around them. One standout feature, though, in this new combat system in this game is the synergize mechanic, which was introduced in the episode intermission campaign for Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. When your party performs enough actions, it builds up a meter that allows the party members to synchronize their attacks, resulting in an epic action sequence that really elevates the gameplay to new heights. The materia system, a beloved feature from the original game and Remake, makes its return to Rebirth. Like its predecessors, materia imbues characters with various abilities and magic and a whole slew of different sort of actions, serving as a crucial aspect of the combat. Without it, battles would lack the strategic depth and the excitement that the fans have come to expect from the series, me included. But I want to delve deeper into the combat mechanics because I really appreciate how the developers listened to the player feedback and made significant improvements to enhance the overall experience. One notable addition was the introduction of air attacks and air juggles, which were missing in Remake. This brought a sense of variety and fluidity to the combat, allowing players to mix up their moves and execute satisfying combos. While it may not match the free-flowing style of games like, say Devil May Cry or something like that, the combat in Rebirth offers enough freedom to set up some impressive combos with any character in the party. However, this enhancement also presented a slight dilemma, albeit a welcome one for me personally. As someone who has always been drawn to playing as Cloud, it's hard to resist his cool demeanor and badass swordsmanship. Yet thanks to the expanded combat features and overall improvements, playing with other characters became just as enjoyable. And I always try to make a conscious effort to ensure that every party member had their time to shine. What's really impressive is how the game cleverly integrates these diverse combat styles into both side quest and main story, often requiring me to utilize different characters. While some may find this forced diversity a point of contention, I really appreciated the game's encouragement to experiment with characters like Red 13 or Kate Sith or Yuffie, each with their own unique moves and abilities. Returning to the story and side quest, I really enjoy the addition of the relationship meter, is what I'm going to call it. The feature pretty much heightened the RPG elements of FF7 by allowing players to choose from different responses during interactions. These choices influence the depth of connections between the characters, mostly Cloud and the other characters, and it impacted certain parts of the game, which I really appreciated. Despite being, a relatively small feature, the relationship meters, I don't know, it just brought the new life into these beloved characters, and again, it just further enhanced the charm and the nuance of their interactions. Before we continue with the rest of this video, I want to say thank you so much for reaching this far. And if you are enjoying this video so far, please consider leaving a like and a comment about what you enjoyed about FF7 Rebirth. And also consider subscribing to the channel for even more content like this. So, anyways, let's continue. Graphically, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is truly stunning. Despite it running on like an older engine, which I think is Unreal Engine 4, like it's like a custom made version of it, the game's worlds and set pieces feel expansive and richly detailed. Players are offered two options: a cinematic mode running at 30 frames per second and a performance mode running at 60 frames per second for smoother gameplay. I personally opted for the performance mode. I typically enjoy playing games that are running at 60. I just want that smoother feeling, but it was nice that you can run the game on a more cinematic point of view. So that was really appreciated. And while there were occasional hiccups, such as certain textures not fully being rendered and some lighting at times being a little bit too intense, these minor issues didn't detract from my overall enjoyment of the game. The character animations during combat and just overall interactions are beautifully executed, adding to the game's vibrancy and immersion, which surpasses that of Remake. Furthermore, the voice acting in Rebirth is superbly well done.
I'm sorry, but I need to do this alone.
I mean, every character sounds and feels exactly how I imagined growing up playing the original game. And honestly, it's the best the characters have ever been represented in anything Final Fantasy VII related. Now, onto the music. What can I say about the music? It's perfect. While the game itself would still be really good without the music elevates it to a whole new level of magic. The reimagined soundtracks from the Remake Rebirth series thus far has been nothing short of masterful. When the music swells during key moments, like stepping into a new locale such as Cosmo Canyon, or when you're walking around a world and you encounter some enemies, or you have to get into battle, how the music just transitions into a more epic version of it. It's hard not to feel chills and be flooded with just like nostalgia and awe and just all of these like wonderful feelings. Honestly, the music serves as the glue that binds the experience together, and it enhances every aspect of the game. I also want to talk about replayability and some slight extras. Similar to Remake, once you're done with the game, FF7 Rebirth includes New Game Plus, which I haven't actually started yet, but it is something that I do plan to do. So if you're looking for a tougher and more challenging experience, you can dive into New Game Plus. It's definitely a must. And additionally, the game offers chapter selection. So if you want to go do one of your favorite chapters, or you want to develop a relationship further, or just want to do a fight again against a certain boss, or maybe your favorite boss, you can absolutely do that. And in all honesty, there weren't many real gripes that I had with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. There were a couple of minor nuances that stood out for me though. For one, I did find myself wishing for less frequent appearances from characters like Chadley and his AI counterpart, who I can't recall her name, but goodness, she was pretty grating at times. Moreover, I felt that in certain points, the game indulged in a bit too much filler content. While I appreciate the effort to expand the game's world, there were instances where I felt like there were unnecessary padding. I wouldn't have minded if some areas had fewer activities to engage in. While most of these activities were optional, I couldn't shake the feeling of repetition when encountering similar tasks across multiple areas. Don't get me wrong, the additional content is appreciated, but after encountering similar tasks for an umpteenth time, it did start to feel a bit draining. In summary, guys, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth kept me eagerly anticipating each new chapter, offering an abundance of content that sometimes felt overwhelming, but in the best possible way. I'd much rather have a game with too much content than not enough content, especially when the extra content are genuinely enjoyable. Rebirth also exudes charm, capturing that classic 90s Squaresoft essence and delivering a true-to-the-bone video game experience devoid of unnecessary extras like battle passes or DLC. This game, it was a dream come true, honestly. Like, it exceeded all of my expectations in every way. Playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth often felt surreal due to its impeccable craftsmanship. Like, it was truly an honor and a privilege to experience this game, and I wholeheartedly recommend it to even those who aren't diehard FF7 fans. With its captivating storytelling and engaging gameplay, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is worth every penny. For me, it stands out as one of the greatest video game experiences of all time, and I'm immensely grateful to have embarked on this journey. So, that's my semi-spoiler-free review of FF7 Rebirth. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found it helpful. But now, I want to hear from you. Have you played this game yet? What did you think of it? Do you agree with my review, or did you have a completely different experience? Let me know in the comments section below. I'm always interested in hearing different perspectives and engaging in conversations and discussions about games. So don't be shy. Whether you love the game or had some issues with it, I want to hear from you. So, share your thoughts and opinions, and let's have a conversation. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.